Hey, welcome my alien brothers, my galactic sisters. How y'all doing today? Appreciate you showing up. And also my human friends. Appreciate it, you tuning in each and every week. Let's get on with it. Today's Wednesday. And for those who are joining us new, this is just basically an esoteric channel for the purpose of connecting, communicating, and interpreting cosmic information, be it from downloads, from impressions, from readings through the tarot or any other esoteric outlet. And because today is tarot, I'm sort of going to give you a basic understanding as I did before, but I want to sort of break down a spread, get you started on a basic spread. And a spread is just, for me, is a spiritual read or spread, S-P-R-E-A-D is a spiritual read or an electrical connection to the universe, and depending on what realm of consciousness, be it the galactic, the astrals, or whatever you call them, the angelics, we're just going to tap into those realms. So you have to sort of dial in your mind into what it is or where it is specifically what you want to call into. That makes sense? You can call, they on the other sides and other realms sort of know our vocabulary as far as when we say the angelic realm or ancestral realm, dimensional realms. The more you do this, the more you practice, the more you'll find out that you'll have a certain call sign to each one of these. And they'll give you a name, and that way you have a specific name for yourself. And that's calling in, much like a ham radio operator. You have a name or a call sign, which is a string of alphanumerics. And then you call into other ones who have alphanumeric specific sequence code, and that's why you know who you're connecting. So out there, your own electromagnetic body puts off a frequency, and they see that frequency, and then depending on who's around will answer that call. Now when it comes down to tarot reading, and for the purpose, are you just wanting to contact into a general reading of what's going on in the world? Then you can contact beings here on Earth that have some insight, but normally you want someone with a broader perspective. But if it's just about health, wealth, or love readings, which tarot basically comes down to, and the tarot is just basically a offshoot or a product of the secret grid that we've been talking about. And if you're not sure, look up the videos on secret grid. There's a few of them, and I go into why that's important to understand, so when you go to contact those on the other realms, you have a better understanding of what it is and how it is, and specifically what are you interested in and for what purpose, right? What quest or question are you ready to have answered or have insight on? So the tarot basically is an extension of the secret grid or the galactic blueprint, many names for it, but I'm going to give you a basic read, and the pattern of which we lay out in itself is a symbolic code. For instance, we have, when you throw the first card down in the center, it's going to be about you. All right? And then the second one is, what's your question? Right, so the card that comes down, or the placement that it is on the macro side of the grid or the macro blueprint, will then determine who it is, or what is it about you that you need to know in order to ask your question. That makes sense? So before you ask a question, check in with yourself, and where are you right now within yourself? Are you scattered? Are you focused? Right? Because however you are asking a question from, right, if you're scattered, then the question you're asking to them is going to be in a scattered form. Right? So you need to make sure that you're centered and focused and have a deep understanding of why you're even asking this question. Right? And then you can flip the next card, and that card will then give you information about the question you're asking. Right? Then the third card we're going to throw down is going to be the foundation, right? What is the foundation of your question, or the foundation of you? Again, this gives us a little more of who you are inside. And this gives us a little more of why you're even asking the question in the first place, because you find yourself, you find yourself in a position, right? And this is why you're asking the question, because this is your foundation behind it, your emotional state. Now, what we have here is what's behind you. So something recently, there was a glitch in the computer shut off all of a sudden. Cosmic powers to be may or may not want me to teach you this stuff. But what's behind you is something recently. What the foundation is has been around a while. We'll say it's something you've been dealing with yourself for about the last 5 years or over. Behind you is about 5 years till now. And so this card is going to represent what you're coming out of and how that affects you now, right? And then the next card we'll flip over is what's coming in. This energy is, if you went to the top layer, spiritual, this is emotional layer, and this is the physical layer of what's going on in your physical life. This is your mental life in the middle, and the upper is what's coming in from. This is the information that's coming in from the esoteric to the exoteric. This is what's inside of you that's about to come out of you, or we can look at it that this is the information or your future, in essence, that's coming that you need to think about, right? Because this card up here, what's coming in, is coming into your life in the present moment, right? And that present moment is first it hits your mental realm, and then it hits the physical life. So if it's something you're not dealing with or you need an answer to, this is the answer that's coming in. What you do with that answer then will affect the physical life, your physical realm. And then finally, the next one in front of you is where you're headed toward, or your next step in life. So this is what's in front of us, this is what's above us, this card is what's behind us, this is what's our foundation. And this is basically what's considered a Celtic cross or a modified Celtic cross. Now, because I teach it differently than most, I'm going to show you that it's the secret grid. If this is recording my whole screen, we'll try to edit it out. But anyhow, so this is the secret grid. We know the secret grid from all the others. So you have your magician, high priest, emperor, empress, emperor, hierophant, lover's choice, strength, all the cards of the tarot right here. So where I've laid the cards out, even though I'm just laying the cards in the grid, and when I'm laying cards down, they're in the grid in my head. And so for an instance, we have the Hermit, then we'll have the Wheel of Fortune, the Justice, the Hangman, and Death card. So in essence, where we laid our first card out, what you want to know about yourself, or what about you, then that's going to be about the Justice card. And the Justice is that you're still going through something in the mental realm that's having an effect on your emotional state. And you're trying to, in your question that you're asking, the one that lays over here, the green one that lays over this card, is also about how, so the root card is the Justice, or the grid card that it's on is Justice. And whatever card we lay on top of this card, it can be, we're talking about the 21 cards. And again, we'll do this physically next week because I don't have any of the cards of that set up here. But just know that the Justice card is the root or the macro card, and whatever card we throw on top of this will give us a further explanation. So let's say, for an example, this was the Chariot card on top of this Justice card. And let's say for right now it's just simple. And we'll just have both these as Justice. And remember, we laid out these cards. You, the question, and then the Hangman is our future. So we're going into figuring out our individual self. So this is what you're going through right now in life. It's helping you understand who you are. And eventually, once you know who you are, you're going to put an end to what it is that's bothering you or why you're even asking the question in the first place. Right? And so we can say in a basic reading here today is that because there's father issues, emperor is the father, or taking action. You may not be able to move forward or be yourself is because you're not taking the right action, your action, the individuated action, not everyone else's action, right? If the world's telling you to do one thing, but you're feeling something else, then go with that. And it may be a harder road. It may be a little more challenging. But in order, the moon card is that you have a dream. Now, it doesn't have to be specific dreams. It just has to be that you know there's something bigger for you and you're opening up to that dream. That makes sense? So we don't necessarily need to know the dream, right? We know that that dream's coming because the card before the moon card is the star card. And the star card is about reconnection, right? Some people may say it's a healing card, but for me, it's the divine waters coming into and connecting with your dreams, right? And then on the other side of that dream is you'll see that it's sunny. And so right underneath the sun card is the hangman, right? So in the hangman, we know that we're about to become or figure out who we are, right? Through this issue you're going through that's very challenging, maybe. And so the Wheel of Fortune is that we decided to take a new turn on it because we're coming out of the Hermit card. We're coming out of finally figuring out or dealing with what we had to deal with, shutting down in business, getting rid of a partner or a mate or something. So we had to go in and figure some stuff out or just contemplate or meditate. And when we did, we said, okay, we're coming out and we're taking a new chance in life. And that's where we're at right now, is that justice card. That justice is that we're having to deal with some issues, some challenging legal issues even. And those legal issues may be because of this past programming from the father's side, or the way you were trained by the institution, the male-driven society even. But what's next to the emperor is that we have to look at the Hierophant, or the priest, or the pastor, whatever you want. It's the wise man that's sort of helping us. The hermit's a wise person, and the Hierophant's a wise person. But this wise Hierophant is all about the past, about traditions and belief systems, right? And the reason why you're having trouble going forward and being yourself is because you're having an issue. Do you let go of some of these belief systems? This can be about relationships, right? I think this is for most people, and this is a general reading, that this has to do about relationships you're in. They could be intimate, they could be business, they could be whatever, but you're having to break apart and do something different in that relationship. Now, I understand in relationships, some people have kids, and that can make it more difficult. That's why it's a justice card, right? Because we're having to figure out how to be ourselves and also be in this relationship. If you have children or a business partner, or you want to move to another state, but the business itself is in another state, and there's kids, whatever this may be for you. So there's a difficulty right now. And in one sense, you're getting hung up, right, strung up, if you will, about dealing with what it is you have to deal with. So we do have to put an end to something in your life, right? So in order to put an ending to something, right, you're going to have to rebirth, and that's that dream up here. So we have a judgment on top of us that we have to look at, right? How will other people look at us? How will you look at yourself? Judgment up here is more about how you'll look at yourself. This one's how other people are looking at you. This Hermit card is about others looking at you or what happened. So in essence, and again, this could be moved anywhere, right? This is just a basic spread without the grid. This grid could have started, or this reading could have started over here. And mentally, I always use a spread. So for example, if I threw that Chariot card out, Chariot's a number 7 card. So my reading would have started here. The center card would have been here. My recent past was here, and underneath me would be the World card under the Father, and so on and so forth. Right? And what's hanging over me, instead of the moon, it would be Temperance. Right? And I'll talk about this more, but today I'm just going to make a brief video, so hopefully it wasn't too confusing. If it was, leave me a comment. But more you understand this grid, this is portals. Remember, we talked about all the portals in the realm, and the gears within gears within gears. This is what's creating a tunnel or a portal or an antenna connectedness to who it is you're trying to connect with on the other side. So through understanding how to read the tarot on the grid, you're actually opening up more portals to communicate with those on the other side, right? So I know it still may be a little confusing for some, but some of you may be getting it. That's awesome. But for right now, we just need, the basic reading is you're going through something. You've got to move forward and be yourself. It may feel like things are against you right now. Legal bills, legal lawsuits against you, whatever this may be. But you have to fight through this, because keep focused on your dream and it will get sunnier. All right, guys? I'll leave you with that. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and definitely subscribe. You can get those subscribers up so we can start doing more. And next week, like I said, I'll have more classes ready for you to go into if you want to be part of the re-membership club. And then I'll have more information as I get that developed. All right, thanks guys. See you again.